Alright, now I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with the WWE games of the early 2000s. I mean, I cut my teeth on Here Comes the Pain, Day of Reckoning, and SmackDown vs. Raw, of course. And if you don't know any of those, I got 2 words for you.
Ooh, chavo!
And my favorite unlockables in those games, other than, you know, my boy Sabu, were the pay-per-view stages. I'm talking shit like SummerSlam 2005, Taboo Tuesday, Armageddon, and ECW One Night Stand. Mwah. Now, I haven't picked up a WWE game since 2K14, but right now, is there any mystique behind that still? Because to be honest, the current stages all kind of look the same, besides WrestleMania. And that tracks with almost every WWE show since the 2010s. We got a ring, we got seats, and we got big screen. Events like Backlash went from having an edgy sickle Titantron, I mean, how the fuck do you even make that, to big screen. It's less visually interesting, less meticulous, and to be quite honest, it's looking pretty lazy. But good for the graphic design folks though. I get that After Effects money, that's fine with me. But custom stages were special. They made us associate a theme with the event that we were watching. Now, it doesn't really matter what the pay-per-view is called. Why call any event other than Mania and the Rumble anything anymore? If these events are losing their uniqueness, just call them like, you know, July PLE or, I don't know, Great Balls of Fire. Sorry, got ahead of my rant there. By the way, I've seen some YouTube coverage on this, but I had to investigate for an answer myself. So let's talk about when this all started. I can trace it to right around 2011 when WWE ended its roster brand split and started assigning the same set designs for Raw and SmackDown. Sure, both had been at least somewhat distinct in the years prior, but from 2011 on, their similarity index went from Kane and The Undertaker to the Basham Brothers. Though we still got treated to custom stages at pay-per-views, it would only be a matter of time before those got swept away too. Weirdly enough, just after the launch of the WWE Network in 2014, the custom pay-per-view stages also stopped coming. Which is odd, because the set designs for their previous events at the time were just sitting in a warehouse, you know, like the Punjabi prison or like 1998 Edge. Nonetheless, one would have to imagine some budget cuts in 2014 had to have occurred. Peep the fan forums for that. And those fans were right. The company was no longer making pay-per-view provider numbers. They were depending on, what was it again? $9.99 per month, and the network's starting stumble made the WWE cut staff by 7% and gave the company an estimated loss of $20 million that year. Now the pivot to the LED boards is kind of making sense. With a blow to the business, the Fed cut down on its pay-per-view sets outside of WrestleMania, but they eventually recovered and thrived, much like what we see today. So why didn't the cool sets just come back? Well, I guess they realized they just didn't need them anymore. As you can imagine, the setup is a lot easier for a big-ass LED board or two over recreating a post-apocalyptic city that can hold The Undertaker and Mr. Kennedy on top of it. You remember Mr. Kennedy? And as we discussed, it's also likely way cheaper. And as attendance has grown in the past few years, the screen and set sizes have decreased in some cases to fit more audience into the arenas, which isn't a bad problem to have if you're the WWE. And at the end of the day, you can't argue with the numbers and the growth the company has shown since the pandemic. It's been crazy. They're constantly reporting record gates and record numbers. Clearly, they're doing something right by avoiding the costs of having custom pay-per-view and weekly shows. Unfortunately for me, though, I hate it. But maybe I'm just an old jaded fan. And thus, Raw and SmackDown differ from each other in logos, where they're shown, and pretty much nothing else. They can't even split a damn roster for more than 2 weeks at a time. Even when the brand split ended in 2016 with the rebrand of SmackDown to SmackDown Live, the sets stayed the same. And the real gut punch there was the end of the red and blue ropes. Now we just get white, bleach perfect white for both. And sure, there was a time when SmackDown tried to differentiate again when the show moved to Fox, but as I remember, that lasted about as long as Kofi did against Brock that night for the title. Bonus rant, by the way, I spent all this time defending WrestleMania stages when, in fact, they got real lazy too. My dumbass paid $700 to see WrestleMania 35, and all I got was big screen and shitty Microsoft Word Art Batista Titantron. But there you have it. The answer to why WWE doesn't have custom stages anymore is really money and time. No surprise there. They realized from 2014 that they didn't really need the custom stages to generate the big revenue that they're generating. And it turns out, they're right. They do not need it. Fans will still turn up to see Raw and SmackDown no matter if they have a really cool stage, no matter if they have a really lame stage, no matter if it's just big LED screen all over everywhere. Fans are still going to pay $700 a seat at WrestleMania, even though it's just big screen, all while I complain to a camera about how it used to look better. I feel old. But hey, both of us can be right. They can still make a lot of money just putting up LED screens and putting GFX on them. And I can still be mad that they don't make cool sets anymore. That's just the way it's going to be. I really just wish it didn't look so much like a Twitch stream. By the way, I also did a video on why Titantrons are so different now too. You can check that out if you got more YouTube time in you today. I hope you learned something. Thanks for hanging out. And on the way out, of course, give me a
Ooh, chavo.